I could have ratted. I kept my mouth shut.
All that time in prison, where did that get you? 12 years.
I kept my mouth shut. I could have ratted. Could have ratted. Not Dom Hemingway.
Hello, welcome to Premier Scene. I'm Claire Bueno, where we're back on the streets and straight into trouble at the European premiere of Dom Hemingway.
Dom Hemingway is free! Dom Hemingway is free!
Mr. Fontaine.
You hunt, Dom.
Only use a gun to hold up a place, or threaten someone, or rob them, or pistol whip them, or scare them. But no hunting.
One of your lines in the film is "Words are easy," and I think what makes Dom so interesting is that for somebody that's pretty uncouth, he has an amazing way with words.
Yeah,
and did that attract you to him?
Absolutely, absolutely. There was something about his poetic, ill-educated, ranting, but at times almost. He reminded me of characters out of Dickens or out of Shakespeare even. And although vulgar, you kind of realise that there was a man with a real vision and a passion of life. And these huge speeches that rolled on and on and on, which you don't often get in film scripts, were really a huge part of why I took it. Yeah, a huge part of why I took it, but also very funny, that he was able to be so funny and rude at the same time.
With regards to the physicality, I don't know how you, with your technique, whether you use animals to base your part on?
Sometimes.
Because to me, he seemed very gorilla-like.
Did he? Yeah, you might be onto something there. There was more just a sense, we worked, Richard, the director, and I worked on the idea that here's a man who really just had gone to seed, you know, spiritually and physically, and so the food and the diet and smoking and all of that stuff really helped. I know it sounds ridiculous, but it really did.
I do owe you, Dom. This is your present, plus interest.
Fantastic.
Dickie, to me, represents the common sense in the film. Is that how you saw him?
Yeah, because it's you know, if we had to look at it in terms of a kind of comedy double act of who is the straight guy, the fall guy, and who's the one doing all the sort of gymnastics, especially vocally and physically, that Jude does in the film. So it was a contrast for me, because normally I've often played people that are more Dom Hemingway extreme end of the spectrum. So to be the person who's like saying, you know, toe the line and behave yourself, that was a relief. I enjoyed it enormously, and see him have to, you know, pull his teeth and hair and guts out in all directions. I had to be well dressed at all times, albeit in retro 1970s Hunter S. Thompson yellow shaded outfit.
And Dom and Dickie go back a long way, so how much fun did yourself and Jude have working on a backstory together?
We did that during about a week of rehearsals, just table reading it and, you know, talking endlessly, and we knew lots of people in common, and I had worked with Sadie Frost's first wife on Dracula 25 years ago, so this sort of connections all help feed into, and you know people in common, so all of that somehow, I don't know how you do it, sort of goes into the pot of it, and you hope that it comes out.
Dad? You've got to be kidding me.
I think what's refreshing about this film for me is that it's about the criminal as opposed to the crime.
Yes.
Is that what drew you to wanting to write?
Well, thank you, because that's what I wanted to. The crime is so unimportant, ultimately. There isn't even a crime, really, in the movie. It is a character-driven piece, but with the fun of, hopefully the fun of those sorts of movies, but yet you find yourself much deeper involved in this person, and Dom is certainly a singular character, and to be able to sort of see him warts and all, and see his humanity, ultimately, after this sort of huge character that you're like, how can I ever possibly like this guy, to hopefully at the end of the movie you actually really root for him.
And the one thing as well that's also unique about this film is this terrific monologue at the beginning. Can you tell us more about where your inspiration came from that and how it sets Dom up as a character really for the audience?
Well, I mean, you know, the question, I think in the first few minutes of a movie, you don't know what the film is about, or is it going to be a good movie, a bad movie? Everyone goes into a movie with sort of nervous in a way. And I thought, wow, let's start with something that is really going to grab them. And of course it's perfect for Dom because he would talk about his, you know, private parts in a certain way of grandioseness because he is such an egotist, you know, and you see him in his full sort of glory, his vocal, you know, he has such an interesting way of talking and the way Jude did it and the rhythm, and so I think hopefully people are like, what is this film? And, you know, and I like that because then you're like lean forward and go, what is this movie?
The interesting thing is as well, it's dialogue driven. So for you as the writer, is that something that you love, the language?
Yes, I mean, I wrote a character-driven movie, and certainly writing it and creating Dom was an enormous amount of fun. And so I think Jude also embraced the dialogue as for what it was. And, you know, thankfully we didn't ever really we didn't stray from the script. The script was sort of our Bible, but every day I was asked the other day whether there was much improvisation, and there was no improvisation, except I think that when great actors are doing their finest work, it is all improvisation because every single take was different. He was bringing something new and yet always sort of redefining and defining Dom.
All in the moment, really.
Exactly.
And it's also it's a physically demanding. I don't mean in his body mass so much, but the emotion and the intensity that he puts into a lot of those scenes, it must be quite hard on an actor. And I just wondered how you worked with him.
Well, I mean, it was physically hard. I mean, there's a scene where he's trying to bash a safe open, and it's like, that was filmed over 3 days, and he's huffing and puffing. You know, I mean, at a certain point, your actor communicates with you as a director and says, I have one more take in me, or don't make me do this again, or if you're going to get it, this is the take to get it. But, you know, part of the physicalness of Dom, he's out of breath, he's out of shape, you know. I mean, and Jude was really smoking when we were shooting, so physically he also was out of breath. There wasn't so much acting as him really feeling like crap. And so, you know, we had a communication of what was, you know, what worked for what we could do, how far I could push him.
Jesus Christ.
Oh, you've got to get control of yourself. I ain't bearing your body out here.
Too old.
No, I didn't bring the right shoes.
Casting, obviously, is always integral to any film, but with this particular film, you've got such extremities in the lead. Somebody that can show, obviously, vulnerability as well as extreme rage. What was it about Jude for you that just touched on those sensitivities?
Well, I mean, he's somebody who's very sympathetic and attractive, very attractive, and it's very unusual for him to play somebody who's just very strong, quite violent, but with an incredible sense of humour. And you know, sort of fine line between being somebody who's a really pain or somebody who's very lovable.
And Jude, I believe, as well, took part in the casting for the auditions too. So
for Amelia Clark, and so he was there to try and find his daughter, who would play his daughter. And, you know, he was very, you know, once he decided to be involved with the film, he was very involved.
It was wonderful for you as a producer to have a lead actor that is so committed to the film.
Great, you know, you get Jude, you know, you've got a wonderful performer in your film, and people love to see him, and would like to see him like this. Quite unusual.
I'm a peasant at heart, a petty serf with nice hair and a strong liver.
And that is how you open a safe. You right did it.
You lost your bloody hand.
Why do you think I'm wearing this black glove all the time?
I thought it was a fashion statement or something.
Fashion statement.
Get 'em up downtown.